Hello and welcome to the big fight after what has been a really dramatic and a really interesting week. If you were to list everything that happened this week, from Vijay Mallya and Michelle to Rafale order to, oh yeah, there was an assembly election in the middle of that. And we know what happened out there. BJP losing three states in the heartland, TRS picking up one. And then all the drama over chief minister, which is still continuing. We're still not quite sure who's going to be the chief minister in Chhattisgarh. Upendra Kushwaha leaving the NDA, reports that his party is about to split. You know, you could run out of breath by just recounting everything that happened in a really dramatic week. But this week is also going to be remembered because it may well set the stage in a number of ways. Opposition unity, what's the Congress party going to do next? What's the BJP going to do next? Is Rafale going to become a major issue in the election? Is it not going to become a major issue? It really sets the stage this week for a lot of what's going to happen in the next 6 months. And that's why in this episode of The Big Fight, we're going to really look a little bit ahead. We're going to get out our crystal balls and say, what does this week really mean for what lies in the weeks and months to come? We have a great panel to help us doing that. Nalini Singh, senior journalist, great to have you with us. Vineet Goenka with us as well, an old friend of ours out here. Great to have you with us. Pawan Khera, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Shaina NC is joining us, spokesperson of the BJP. Chandan Mitra is joining us, senior leader of the TMC. And Surendra Bhadoria joining us, spokesperson of the Bahujan Samaj Party. Because obviously, what happened, this may have been where a clash between the Congress and the BJP, at least in the Hindi heartland, but it has profound implications for what might happen now in terms of alliances and Third Front or BSP alliances with the Congress Party. So we're going to dive into that. Right, three major issues, if I have your permission, ladies and gentlemen, to go into. Let's start with Rafale, if you will, and then go on to assembly elections and what happened there, including chief ministers, and then finally what this means for opposition unity and where we head from here. So, Pawan Khera, why don't I start with you first on Rafale? When the order came out yesterday, it seemed as if the Congress Party had pretty much lost one of the major talking points that it had in the build-up to the elections, because here you have the Supreme Court coming out and pretty much saying it saw no reason. It said two things actually. One, it said it was not necessarily a jurisdiction, but it then went on to make several comments that more or less seemed to imply that it thought there was nothing really wrong with the deal. So were you disappointed then? And now, given that even the government seems to have gone back to the Supreme Court to say, well, there are some factual inaccuracies in what we have said also, in other words, which we need to get corrected, is the issue now back in play?
Vikram, we were not disappointed by the Supreme Court order for the simple reason that the Supreme Court cited Article 32 of the Constitution, which says it has no jurisdiction. Fair enough. We were not respondents in the Supreme Court at all. Number two, the facts placed before the Supreme Court is very important. The facts and the documents placed before the Supreme Court were faulty, as proved by the recent CAG example when Rahul Gandhi brought it out in public domain. Now the government is saying, yes, there was a typo error or whatever excuse they are hiding behind. Number two, Ambani of 2012 and Ambani of 2015 are two different entities. They have been different since 2005. The Supreme Court got confused there. I don't blame the Honorable Supreme Court. It's the kind of facts that were presented in a sealed envelope, signed or unsigned affidavits, no one knows. Number three, the Supreme Court was misled into believing that HAL and Dassault had no signed agreement. There was a work share agreement signed on March 13, 2014. There are 5 or 6 such anomalies. In the course of the program, I can enumerate all others also. Okay. So therefore, we are not disappointed at all. Our demand has always been a JPC, a Joint Parliamentary Committee. Why is the government, especially now if the government feels they are armed with the Supreme Court order, so-called clean chit, which is not a clean chit, why is the government now shying away from a JPC?
All right, Shaina, let me throw that to you. I think yesterday there was a lot of, the government seemed to clearly believe that what the Supreme Court had said was amounting to a clean chit. Now, having to come out and say that these factual inaccuracies need to be fixed, it's again going to put a question mark on that and may reintroduce Rafale as certainly a political arguing point going ahead. What do you think is going to happen next?
So for starters, Vikram, this is not about victory or defeat. This is about truth versus lies. You have 4 petitions by 4 individuals. I'm not getting into their ideology or their political stance, but the Supreme Court dismissed all 4, saying that there is no question of any commercial favoritism. And I'm using this word commercial favoritism because a lot of lies has been spread by the opposition, saying that, oh, 30,000 crores and 1,30,000 crores, all fictitious figures which were talked about. Here, the facts are the following. One, that there is a secrecy clause when it comes to pricing. Despite that, the PAC and, as Mr. Jaitley said, if there are further questions vis-a-vis it which can be disclosed in the public domain, will be debated in Parliament. Second, there is no question of favouring HAL or Reliance or anybody. The government had no role because the Dassault CEO on an interview to ANI specified that this was their choice, and their choice for reasons best known to them. Third, most importantly, for all those who are constantly crying hoarse, corruption, 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 the Honorable Supreme Court of this country says, gives a clean chit and says no question of any commercial favoritism. So if this has been struck down by the highest court of this country on 4 petitions by 4 people on 4 different subjects, and saying that the government of the day has done nothing wrong, I think that the Congress party should read the writing on the wall. There's no question of a JPC. JPC is only possible if there is a case of corruption.
But
and
China,
more importantly, when you constantly use dialogues like Chaukidar Chor hai, it makes me wonder ki kaun se chor Chaukidar ko chor bula rahe hain. The previous governments, whether it was Bofors or
you know, okay,
let me just finish very briefly because I have limited time.
Issues, China doesn't necessarily justify.
Or whether it was Augusta, there were cases of kickbacks.
Okay, China, if I can just ask you a question.
No, I need to counter this.
Yeah, I want to.
By under which court ordered that there was kickbacks in Bofors? Let's confront each other right now, or you withdraw this charge.
Okay, can I? Okay.
No. I am sorry. She can't go scot-free by saying that there was kickbacks in Bofors.
As
said by whom?
Himself.
Bofors. I am talking about Bofors. We'll come to Augusta later.
Monies were given to bureaucrats and
we'll
top
talk
leaders
about Augusta later. Right now, please respond to the Bofors charge. Where were the kickbacks in Bofors as said by which court of which country? Unless this is a Nagpur court of Reshim Bagh, I have nothing to do with that court.
Pavan, 1 sec.
No, what rubbish is this? How can she talk about Bofors without
Pavan, now pause.
She should do her homework before coming here.
Okay, pause. China, I just wanted to ask you one question.
Vikram.
Everything China,
you know, in America,
yeah.
In America,
come back to India, talk about Bofors first. We'll let you go to America later.
The Congress party has
I know you want to go to America for the Christmas, but right now talk about Bofors here. No, I'm sorry, Vikram.
Pavan,
she has to withdraw Bofors right now.
Can I please moderate 1 sec? China, I just want to ask you a question. Everything which you said about what the Supreme Court said, yesterday it was seeming as if the only way to put a question mark or to reopen the question mark, the Supreme Court judgment, and I don't necessarily want to go into the past, I want to stick with the present and the future, which is really what this show is about. So, on Rafale, yesterday it was looking as if the petitioners may have had to file a review petition of some sort or the other. But given that at this moment, the government itself has said that there was some factual inaccuracy somewhere, typing errors or whatever they wanted to call it, and actually that report was never shown. There's no CAG report that has been shown to the PSC. Does that mean that the Supreme Court may well come back and say, well, all right, then if the facts are not correct, we've got to look at this issue again?
Vikram, you're going into all the commas, the full stops, the question marks. What is the larger question? The larger question is there any money trail? Is there any misuse of power? Is there any corruption? The answer to all is no. The highest court of this country has given a clean chit. Now, are you going to abide by the Supreme Court, or are you going to make your own fictitious
Vikram, where
comments
is the clean chit?
And have your
has
own
the Supreme Court said no to a JPC?
And your own
has
agenda, which
has
is
the issue of benchmark price being decided? Why did the Prime Minister raise the benchmark price from $5.2 billion to $8.2
Ladies and
billion.
gentlemen,
The question was
It
to
is
Pawan
revealed
in
by your
China.
own officer of the
Question
defense
was
Pawan in
ministry.
China.
if
Pawan in
it's
China.
so
Sudhanshu
hard
Mohan.
for
Pawan
you
in
to
China, there are a
digest
bunch
the
of other
truth,
people
I
also.
can
Look,
understand
we will.
and sympathize.
Where is the
but
clean
do
chit?
understand this
Has
is
the
a
Supreme
non-corrupt
Court said
government,
no to
and this is
JPC?
an area
Then
of
we can-
national
I'll concede
security. So
immediately.
please be
Okay.
mature
I'm not like
in
you.
your
Okay.
issues
Thankfully.
that you pick up. Debate in Parliament. Who's stopping you?
Let's have this.
Who's stopping you to debate in
Can I
Parliament?
get the others in?
Nobody is. Our party president and Arun Jaitley ji himself have said that they... Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, pause. I'm going to get the others in. Because, I mean, let's try. I'm trying to see what is going to happen if this is actually being debated in Parliament. You will probably have a lot of this. Somebody will have to play speaker. I'm going to try and play speaker out here right now. Let me get the others in and get their views. First on Rafale, and then I do have two other major subjects to look at, especially what this means for strategy going forward. Chandan Mitra, why don't I get you in, and Sudhinder Bhadoria, what is your take on where we stand at the present moment now on the Rafale issue, what's been called the Rafale scam, and the government will say now it's been proved that there's no Rafale scam at all. What is your take on where we stand? Chandan Mitra.
No, I think there was a severe error on the part of the government in what they gave to the Supreme Court under sealed cover. Now, a government cannot make a mistake like this. They must be more responsible. How can they give us this thing, submission to the court in which they mention about the CAG report and claim that the PSC has seen it, when nothing of the kind has happened? I think the Supreme Court will need to re-examine the whole matter, not just correct paragraph here and there. It requires a complete kind of re-examination by the Supreme Court, and then let them decide whether the clean chit remains valid or has become invalid and a fresh look is required.
Okay, Sudhinder Bhadoria, your take on this issue?
Well, I think as Mr. Mitra has pointed out, that the real facts and the true facts and the total facts are not known, and therefore I think this needs to be looked into both in the Parliament through a PAC and also by the Supreme Court again. And therefore I think all these facts should be brought before the people as well as to the Parliament, and then you should be taken on this, because the nation should know that where the taxpayer money has gone, and that is very important at a time when people are suffering with price rise, we're suffering from unemployment, the farmers committing suicide. If their money has gone, somebody has walked off, then I think they deserve to know what is happening in the country.
All right, Vineet. Mr. Bhadoria essentially saying that the nation should know. Whether it wants to know or not is a different question, but the nation should know what this is.
No, I think probably this is right. If there is an error, it has to be re-examined. But I have a small
So you're agreeing with that view?
No, if somebody has miswritten it, so there are sentences. Somebody said that the things were not been appearing properly. There was a typo error or there was something deliberately been done. Now, Supreme Court should re-examine. But I have a small advice to the petitioners or Congress party. If they feel Congress, the party or the government in the day has done it deliberately, they can go to Supreme Court and say this is in contempt, because giving misrepresentation is nothing but a perjury, right? So they can always go to Supreme Court, say this is a contempt, and Supreme Court can take cognizance of this.
This is Vineet Goenka giving advice to the Congress party on
what
to
do. So I'm deliberately giving it. I'll tell you. Number two. So because you know, people should know whether there was a deliberate attempt or there is a typographical error or this has been created by somebody. Because you know, I was not a part of the PSC, so I would not know whether the CAG has been given the report or not, whether what was written in
but
the,
I think everyone accepts.
because I don't even accept. So that's what I'm saying. If there is a deliberate contempt, the petitioner and the opposition should go to Supreme Court, request them to re-examine, and re-examining is not a wrong thing. But let me bring one fact to the notice of people of this country, which somehow very nicely been kept away from people. In year 2007, Dassault was found as L1. L1 you find only somebody when you complete the entire procedure of technicalities, negotiation, everything has been done. Please educate me if I am wrong here. Once it has been identified as L1, what stopped that time's dispensation, Manmohan Singh ji, to take a decision 2007, 2014?
Incorrect. Supreme Court order, page number 2, L1 it was decided.
Vikram,
Just a second. January
you
2012. You cannot allow him to lie. January
Pavan,
2012, Dassault was
when you
identified as
interject,
L1.
then your intentions
Supreme
are
Court
questioned.
order, page
Let
number
me
3.
complete. I will
Pavan,
not,
you will
I
get
will
a
not
chance to
allow it.
respond.
No. I'm
Sir,
sorry.
I
First of
will
all,
not
Vikram,
interject. No,
he
Pavan,
should
hang on,
be
hang on.
introduced
Sir,
as a
Pavan,
BJP
sir, you're
member
senior
because he's
Why
been
are you-
ex-IT. Sorry. You
Sir,
are a
please
BJP
let me
member,
complete my
IT cell.
sentence.
Please
Pavan,
introduce
you should
him
have
as
patience,
You
sir.
can't have
Bade
two
mere
BJP
super mein-
Pavan, Pavan.
You cannot
Pavan,
have
Pavan.
two BJP
ऐसे क्या चिंता है
spokespersons
कि
on one
बोलने
show.
भी नहीं दिए जा रहे?
I
Why?
can have asked many. Excuse me. There's
He is
you.
BJP.
There are three members
He is
of the
BJP.
opposition.
No, they are not Congress. Ask Bhadoria.
It's my
Mr.
decision.
Bhadoria, are you Congress? He'll say no.
He's opposition.
let me make
Your
a point.
opposition.
He's not
Your
even
opposition.
our ally.
Chandan's opposition.
No.
China
So
can
much
have.
First of
worry.
all, Vikram,
डर
I'm
क्या है
sorry.
मन के
When you
अंदर?
introduce
कि
your
बोलने नहीं
panelists,
Excuse me,
you should
Pavan.
introduce them from their ideological point of view. He is a member
Pavan,
of the
sir.
BJP or not? Tell me yes
Sir,
or no.
Sir,
He's-
sir,
Yes
Pavan,
or
sir,
no?
can you look at me?
No, I am looking
Sir,
at
I
him.
am
He is the
watching
moderator.
you.
Why should I
I
look at
also
you?
see divisions when
He's
you
here.
get it.
He's here to represent the BJP's
So,
viewpoint.
allow me to make my sentence.
He's
You
here
are
to
a good
represent
looking
the
man, but why
BJP's
should I look
viewpoint.
at you?
Sir,
He's
because
better
allow
looking.
me to speak. See, when you get
Excuse
so
me.
jittery,
Pavan,
then the
Pavan,
question...
I am
Pavan, I'll tell
laughing.
you what.
You are
Pavan,
jittery.
Pavan,
Everybody is laughing. Only you are jittery.
Pavan,
No, sir,
Pavan,
I'll
one
tell
Nalini
you.
ji is smiling.
Pavan,
Sir, I'll tell you.
I'm very happy to have you
Now-
coming and sitting here. I'm happy to
No,
leave.
but you should introduce him.
Excuse
his
me,
party.
I will
I'm
intro-
sorry, that's not fair.
I think
Everyone
Vikram will continue.
beneath
On
has been-
record, I
He's a
want to
respectful
place
man.
my
He will
objection.
allow me
I've
to
heard
make
you.
this point.
I've heard you.
The entire country's national security was at stake.
I've heard you and I'm very
7 years
happy.
you
Thank you.
took decision
Thank
not to
you.
buy it because there was
Incorrect.
reasons for it. I
2012.
think the world would like to know what was the commission asked
Here
by
is the
the
Supreme Court
Why
order.
did you not
You are
take the
wrong.
decision, sir?
You are wrong.
7 साल किसके लिए रुके थे आप?
2012 में
किसको
L1 हुआ
पैसा
था,
चाहिए
ये
था
रहा
7 साल तक
सुप्रीम
कि
कोर्ट
आपने
का
ले
ऑर्डर।
लिया
the
decision?
issue
आप
is-
यहाँ खड़े होकर भी झूठ
कौन
बोलते
मामा
हैं,
जी किसको
संसद
पैसा
में
देना
झूठ
चाहता था,
बोलते हैं,
बताइए कौन से
सुप्रीम
भांजे को?
कोर्ट के सामने झूठ बोलते हैं, सब जगह झूठ बोलते हैं।
Pavan,
इसलिए
अच्छा,
तीन
spend
राज्यों
too
में
many
आपको
times.
सच मालूम पड़ गया।
आप तो मेरे से बड़े सर, ये
तीन
बताइए
राज्यों में सच मिला या नहीं मिला?
2007
You know,
2014
Pavan,
मनमोहन
you know
सिंह
the
को क्या
issue
साफ सूख गया था?
is you spend too much
कि
time
देश
on
की सुरक्षा
channels
को
where
आप
you're
बोल रहे
encouraged
हैं,
to shout.
He's
I'm not
lying
encouraging you to
right
shout
now.
here.
2012. Here is the Supreme Court order. Here,
2007,
take
there
a
was
look.
L1 or not,
no,
sir?
No. Here is the Supreme Court order. I'll
See,
read
this
it
is
out.
really good
I'll
for
read it
drama.
out for
10
you.
seconds.
Pavan sir,
This
you
is
know
really
my
okay,
background.
guys.
I
Can
do
we
my
put everyone's
homework
mics
very
down?
nicely.
You are
Can you
wrong.
put everyone's
Sir,
mics
you
down?
interjected
He is
Can
before
you
you
put
wrong.
everyone's mics down?
I'll
Pavan.
just read it. Sorry.
Okay, your mic is down. Your mic is down because that's only my mic is up. This is not the sort of a channel.
खुली नवंबर 2011 में जब आपको तथ्य नहीं मालूम या क्यों झूठ बोल रहे हो आप?
Pavan, wrong channel. You're really on the wrong channel right now. You want to interrupt, you want to shout at people, do it somewhere else. I'm going to go to, I'll introduce him whichever way I want. Everyone knows who Vinith's sympathy is. Nalini, I'm turning to you. Nobody can hear him, they can only hear you.
I do not have.
You lie in the Supreme Court.
Even if
Pavan,
आपने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में
आरोप नहीं लगा, आप इधर जितनी हो गए।
2012 में कहां से आ
मनमोहन
गया?
सिंह जी जो
2007 में कहां से आ गया?
Pavan, I have, can I, one second.
You don't want to correct something which is a
I
lie.
am,
I will have
Pavan,
to.
Pavan, one
Security
second.
ये झूठ
Pavan,
नहीं
one
बोलेंगे।
second.
No, I'm
When
sorry.
my
Stop
neighbors
holding up
and
this
had
show.
adversity,
Will not be
I
allowed.
had
I'm sorry.
questions
I'm
that
sorry.
Then I'll
You want to
march
go
out
and
to
shout
this
and
is the way
scream,
it
go and
is.
shout and
No,
scream
this is
somewhere
not
else.
done, boss.
You can go and shout and scream somewhere
No,
else.
I'm
This
not
is
shouting
not
or
the
screaming.
place to shout and
2012
scream
or
and
7.
interrupt
Please
people.
ask him now.
This is not the place to shout and scream and
This
interrupt
is also
people.
not the place to
This
lie.
is not the place
This
to
is not
shout
the
and
place to
scream
allow
and
someone
interrupt
to lie
people.
like this.
You want to do this? There are plenty of channels.
I'm not
very
interested
happy to have
in
you
number
doing
of
this.
channels. I don't
I'm
want
not
your
going to hear
advice
you
on that.
anymore.
may
I'm not going to hear you
I
anymore.
take
Can I
this
make a
little
No,
gap?
I'm not going to hear anybody.
Little
I'm going to have you.
audio gap. And
Nalini,
may I
come
jump
here,
in?
please.
Yeah, may I jump in?
Please,
This
and
little
let us, please, now that everyone is silent, please, can we follow some basic decorum? Please, let's not interrupt each other. Let's all hear each other. I'm sure we'll be able to have a very civilized conversation. Everyone is free to make their points, but let's try and listen to each
can I
other.
complete my
The
point?
problem with this country is
listen
we've stopped
20
listening to each other because we think shouting is a much better way to communicate. It's not.
Can I take
so let's
20
please
seconds
listen
before
to each
Madam
other.
speaks?
Now, and yes, Vineet,
Please allow me to complete my
absolutely
sentence.
fair to point out his
Yeah.
thing that yes, he has sympathies with the BJP. Everyone knows where his
No,
sympathies
you
are.
should have
Come on,
introduced him as
Vineet
such.
has been on
Sorry.
my show 30 times. Everyone
No,
knows.
but these
it's like
people
my
should know, your
introducing you
viewers
saying
should
you
know.
were once,
Pavan
you were
sir,
once
you're
assisting
senior.
to
I'm
to-
just,
to-
I am
to-
registering
to-
my protest.
Pavan
If
sir.
there is a
All
problem
right,
in
you
the
registered your
NDTV that I
protest
can't
and
even
voted
register
Fine, I've noted your
Pawan
protest.
ji, मैं 20
I've
second,
noted
20
your
second
protest.
लूंगा,
I'll let him
point
speak.
बताता हूँ. So my point essentially is 2007 Dassault was found as L1.
Incorrect.
सर मुझे 20 सेकंड बोलने दीजिए सर.
जनवरी
सर,
2012 अरे
सर आप
सब
बहुत
कागज
अच्छा
लेकर बैठते हैं ये
सर
देख
आप
लीजिए
नॉलेजेबल
आपके
आदमी
सारे
सर मैं आपको
कारनामों के
रिक्वेस्ट
कागज
कर
लेकर बैठे हैं।
सर आप बहुत
ऐसे
बड़े
नहीं गलत बोल रहे हैं
सर
आप
आप मेरे से बड़े ना आदरणीय 20
नहीं
सेकंड
आप भी आदरणीय हैं छोटे हैं
Pawan,
बड़े
you know,
हमें
your
नहीं मालूम
idea
आपका
is you're going to
death
stand
certificate
out here
नहीं
and you're going to
हमारे
shout and you're going to keep on
No, no,
heckling
but
everybody.
how can you allow
I
this
have
lie?
told you I'll allow you to reply. I have told you I will allow you to reply.
sir,
Now,
first-
please
मेरा point
let
बना
him
दीजिए. सर, एक
finish.
sentence बोलने दीजिए
Let him
मुझे, please.
finish what he has to say after. That's communication, right? That's conversation.
Yeah.
One person speaks, when that person stops, the other person answers. Actually, it's
So,
quite simple.
the point is very much, when my adversaries, see, the need was identified in 2001 after the Kargil. So, there was a pressing need to buy machines. 2007 L1 was identified. 2014, 7 years, there was no action taken. The world would like to know why did then Prime Minister put the entire national security to a zero petty. The boys on the borders were asking for the machine, but the machine was not delivered. Okay. So, I think that question is bigger than the question of whether there was a typing error or not. Okay. That's my submission.
Fine.
Pamanji,
Now that he has finished, make your point.
Okay, thank you. I read from the same Supreme Court order, the one which you are using as fig leaf. The commercial bids were opened in November 2011 and Messrs. Dassault Aviation was placed as the L1 sometime in January 2012. Okay. Are you convinced?
All right. Now, can both of you stop, please?
Thank you.
Mr. Badoria, I'm coming to you now. Mr. Badoria, I'm coming to you now because there are other people on the panel. Okay, both of you can go out and argue elsewhere. Can the rest of us continue with our show? Mr. Sundar Badoria, let me come to you now, and then I want to come to Nalini Singh. Mr. Badoria.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been trying to regain. Now you know why you can't have a JPC or a parliamentary debate on the subject. If you can't have it in a TV studio, you can imagine what's going to happen elsewhere.
Very senior to me.
Mr. Badoria.
I respect him a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to know the
weigh in on
question
this
and
debate
then
that we are having.
only respond.
Indira Jaisingh, for example, has just put out a tweet saying she thinks that the Supreme Court order will have to be relooked at from scratch. Would you agree with her?
Well, most certainly when the Supreme Court, they have given again a joinder where they are saying that there were factual errors, then the Supreme Court certainly needs to re-examine why these factual errors were there, and they really should re-examine also. I think the government should also go and they should again make a plea what were the reasons, and all the facts should come before the people. The nation, that is the democratic spirit, and that is what is required in democracy. We believe in the Supreme Court. Each and every political party or citizen believes in the Supreme Court. Whatever decision they take are binding on all issues, including the Rafale deal. So therefore, I think this needs to be looked into completely, totally in a holistic manner, and the real facts should be placed before the people.
All right.
Okay. So now, Vikram, I'd like to say that the Honorable Supreme Court had reserved its judgment. So there were several days. So this question of typo error, a typing error, I think we should not be so childish and say it was a typing error. The second thing is that it will be resolved very quickly if the government reveals the name of the person who signed the affidavit. So if we know who signed the affidavit, we will be immediately able to get to the source of whether it was something which the government had asked that this is the way it should be framed, or whether it was something which was misinterpreted by the extremely honorable Supreme Court. The last thing I'd like to say is that there are, and I hesitate so much because I join everybody who says that we hold the Supreme Court in the highest regard. But I would like to say, was there non-application of mind? And therefore, I would say from what you have just seen over here, these are three things.
That's a strong comment to make.
I'm sorry, I said that I join everybody in the highest respect for the Supreme Court. But somewhere did that happen, because there are several glitches, if we call it, or flaws in this. But I would like to say to you that you raise the question, is the Rafale issue gone? From what you have demonstrated on your own program, it has not gone, and it's not going to go. And what I have noticed is that, you know, for an issue to build up, to actually influence even voting thinking in rural areas, it takes 4 to 6 months. And I think the Congress party has invested about 2 good months in this, and they are not going to give it up. And the BJP will have to do a whole lot of, batting in order to be able to take these googlies.
All right, Shaina, let me turn to you. Nalini seems to be, I mean, you heard the rather heated debates that are still taking place over it. So we'll wait to see what happens now with this error and what the Supreme Court is going to do. Do you still think, Shaina, come the general elections, Rafale is something you're going to be answering questions about? Or do you think this is not a matter that has been gathering too much traction anyway, and therefore it is going to fizzle out by the time the general election comes?
As I said, this is not an issue at all, because this is not about victory, defeat. This is about truth versus lies. You have one party that is only spreading conspiracy theories for reasons best known to them. And that is not an election issue. The people of this country have faith in Prime Minister Modi that this is a matter of national security. By questioning like this, you are questioning the integrity of the government and that of the army, which has both been given a clean chit by the Supreme Court. Now, I would only request you, Vikram, you know, rather than getting into who typed what and is there a comma or a full stop, has it reached here or has it not, the larger point is this: has there been a money trail? No, there hasn't. Is there a sense of corruption? Absolutely not. And please play Smita Prakash's ANI interview to hear what the Dassault CEO says. He says that they did not want to work with HAL. They chose to work with Reliance, and the offset clause has also been highlighted by them. So I don't understand, if we have had a terrible past of cases like Augusta, where Mr. Michel has said on record that monies were given to bureaucrats, politicians, and that's why they were voted out. We were voted out in power purely for the clean, good governance that Prime Minister Modi has to offer. So for those people who are trying to spread this kind of false fake it till you make it, the people aren't buying it. And it's imperative for us also to understand at this juncture that when we talk about debating in Parliament, you are welcome. But when is a JPC put into force? A JPC, if there is a case of allegation of corruption, here you just have papers being flung up and the Congress saying, see, we've got this, and somebody else saying, see, we've got that.
You know, everything is an allegation of corruption until it's investigated at the end of the day, China. And it's precisely because the BJP was voted in, because of the clean image of Narendra Modi, that this might well remain an issue. So okay, China, I know China has to leave us. I'm just going to get in a couple of other questions into her. China, just wanted to get your take on the other big issue that we want to now turn to, and I want to shift my attention to that, which is obviously the assembly results that have come out. Sure. The fact that the BJP is out of the entire Hindi heartland, potentially a drop, if you extrapolate the assembly elections to the general elections, you're looking at a drop of maybe somewhere between 30 to 40 seats in these three states. You're looking at a possibility where you may have dropped in Gujarat, where you had swept it last time. If the Bahujan Samaj Party and the Samajwadi Party stay together, you're likely to lose perhaps in Uttar Pradesh as well. Are you concerned with the way things are going? Because certainly things are not looking as, yeah, it's a Modi victory in 2019 is done and dusted the way it was perhaps looking a year and a half ago.
Firstly, let me please say, Vikram, that 15 years for a party to rule in any state in itself is victory. People are entitled in a democracy to have a change only because they feel 15 years, they've tried somebody, let's try somebody else. But please understand, in Madhya Pradesh, even after 15 years, BJP polled more than the Congress. It is a known fact and it is in the public domain that we lost few seats by less than 100 votes, 500 votes, maximum 1,000 we would have been in power, and the entire dynamics that you are discussing today, you would say, wow, what a good job Shivraj Singh Chauhan's done.
China, by that same logic, Gujarat could have very easily gone the other way, and then you would have had a bigger issue.
Now coming to Rajasthan, can I just come to Rajasthan? Rajasthan, you had dismissed us and said that, oh, every 5 years it changes. Look at the fight we gave and look at the kind of rebels within the Congress party itself where they were agitating on the streets. That's another issue. But the fact where we are actually shocked is a state like Chhattisgarh. Yes, I do concede, because Raman Singh ji had a fantastic reputation, policies that percolated down to the poor, and the Naxal areas were still kept safe and intact. So we do need to introspect on certain fronts. But having said that, please understand the referendum on a general election is not that on a parliamentary one where you want an honest, stable, good government and a Prime Minister like Prime Minister Modi, who's probably the most charismatic the country has ever seen. So I'm not worried, but yes, we will work harder. And I think that the fact is that you keep talking about numbers dropping in the Hindi heartland. Have you ever considered the numbers that we've gained in the Northeast or in states like Assam or Maharashtra? I think that we need
Assam,
to
you got 6 to 7 in 2014 as well.
And we are here on a policy.
Okay, China, just on a mathematical
and
front,
just to
on a
finish one
mathematical
more
issue,
point,
you got
because
6
you
to 7
asked
seats
this
in Assam
question.
last time
People have
also,
talked about-
and Mizoram, Manipur and the others, so they are great that you got to debate some headway out there. It will not compensate for the drop that you are seeing in these states. I mean, a drop in UP or a drop in Madhya Pradesh or a drop in Rajasthan can't be compensated
But
by...
you're anticipating we're dropping, we're not.
I'm just saying if you're extrapolating the assembly election, and
The
by the way,
difference between a
15
general
years,
election in parliamentary
15
election
years,
is
these
known
states
to
have
all.
voted the same
you
way
have
in-
hypothetically presumed.
okay,
Before Shanaji leaves.
we'll wait to see.
Quick,
We'll wait to see.
5 seconds before Shanaji leaves.
Yeah.
Shanaji, I just wanted to add here, you know, in 2005, the High Court of Delhi had squashed the charges against Bofors. After 12 years, when it was taken in Supreme Court, they said it is time bar, it is delayed. So the blame on the earlier government goes that they have suffocated the justice. 2005, 2014, there was no attempt by then government to go to Supreme Court. So it is not that the court.
could have gone.
Sir, so
You could have
let
gone.
me educate you. Bofors case as per me.
Google
करके अच्छा
किया, लेकिन आप
I
आगे
hate
गए
to do
कोर्ट।
this.
मनमोहन
I'm not
सिंह
going to
को
wait for
देरी
him to
नहीं थी।
interrupt you.
हिम्मत की नहीं थी कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे जाके
अरे आप
interrupting
चले
you
जाते
now.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट।
Interrupting
ये क्या
you now
मतलब है?
before he gets his chance.
राहुल
Look at
गांधी
the
तो जाता
opposition.
नहीं
पूरा
है।
गूगल कर
रफाल के
सकते
केस
हो,
में
पूरा
बीट
गूगल
इनको
कर लो।
भेज देता है और
आधा
आप मुझे
गूगल
बच्चे
करने
को
से
बोले
क्या
कि
फायदा
चले
मेरे
जाओ
दोस्त?
बोफोर्स के केस के अंदर।
Chandan, before we get back into Bofors, Chandan, I want to
मेरा
ask
मोबाइल
Chandan,
Google में
I
हुआ।
want to
अगस्त में भी हुआ,
ask
बोफोर्स में
Chandan,
भी हुआ।
I want to ask Chandan.
I can't hear you.
Chandan, what does the result this week mean for opposition unity? Because two different possibilities are coming up. One, Congress party has become stronger because it's one in the heartland and they become the fulcrum of whatever opposition unity is happening. Second view, that with TRS sweeping in Telangana, there's already conversation between the TRS and Mamata Banerjee, the TMC and others to say, let's try and revive some possible concept of a federal front or a third front or a non-Congress, non-BJP alternative. I'm just trying to figure out which direction the opposition is headed in, and I want to get Mr. Bhadoria in on exactly that same question.
Look, I can't anticipate what Mr. Bhadoria's viewpoint on this is.
I don't
but
expect
I
you
can
to.
only tell you that what has already been proposed, I can only say that what is being already discussed is a state-wise Gathbandhan. Maybe not a Mahagathbandhan, but a state-wise Gathbandhan, because the regional parties don't have any great stakes in the other state. Now, the Trinamool Congress does not have a stake in Telangana or say in Uttar Pradesh, and the Samajwadi Party has no stakes in say Odisha. So, in each of these states, there should be a dominant opposition party which will rally others around it, and then when the totality is there, they aggregate each party's support, and then there should be a common minimum program and a common leadership that will be agreed upon. I think this is the most acceptable thing. The idea of the kind of repeating the Janata Party experiment, I think those days are gone. You cannot really have the same all India umbrella opposition alliance. You will have strong regional parties which will do well in their respective states and come together in the center to form a national alternative government.
All right, that's a really interesting viewpoint put forward by Chandan. Mr. Bhadoria, let me ask you on that. With the BSP, there are a couple of important riders to what he said, which is that the BSP does have the ability to make a difference in other states. You may not be able to win seats in other states. You got 6, of course, in Rajasthan right now, and you picked up seats in Madhya Pradesh. But potentially, BSP support in if the Congress and the BSP are tied up in, let's say, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, they may well have won with an absolute canter and not had all of this nail biting because your votes can be transferred to them. Do you agree with the scenario laid out by Chandan Mitra? Is that the way the opposition is going to go, or is there something else that you would have in mind?
I think this will gradually be becoming more clear as days go by, but let me say this in the context of the assembly elections that have been held. It is a mixed kind of reaction which the Indian electorate has given. They have defeated convincingly BJP in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, including Telangana, and let me say this, that these 3 states Congress party has been a big gainer. Bahujan Samaj Party also, which is the third largest party nationally in terms of vote share nationally, but we also have these respectable numbers, and we gave support to the Congress party in Madhya Pradesh because and Samajwadi Party together. We have 7% votes. Therefore, the government was possible over there. But there is a very important statement which has come from Mr. KCR and many others who are his allies, that there is a need for a non-Congress, non-BJP leadership. This is one of the issues that should be debated. As far as we are concerned, Behan Mayawati ji's position is very clear. She has said this n number of times, that we are willing to sit down and work out an understanding, provided those people who are negotiating are willing to consider. We have won in Madhya Pradesh and parliament seats. A great leader of the Congress party, Mr. Arjun Singh, was relegated to the third position. Even last time there were many seats where we came second in the parliament. We have won seats in other states also, like in Punjab, in Haryana, and therefore we think that we have a presence. We have won once even in Orissa.
No, so and Mr. Bhadoria, just to get a clarification from you, which of the two is it? Are you saying leave the Congress out, non-Congress, non-BJP, third front, or are you saying let the opposition, including the Congress,
not saying, I said,
have state-by-state alliances to take on the BJP?
No, I think as time now is short, these leaders will meet, and if they are serious, we have shown that magnanimity by supporting the Congress, but the Congress party wants to go alone. They don't want to give any space to us in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, or other areas where they are number one. So how can they expect some other regional party or a national party like ours to give space to these parties in the state where we are strong? So therefore it would all depend on it has to be a mutual understanding and respect for each other, and on the basis of the strength that we have, they should sit down and talk with Behan Mayawati ji, the national president of the Bahujan Samaj Party.
China, can I just get you in on China on what you think is going to happen from an opposition point of view going forward? What sort of a battle are you expecting?
Look, we are the single largest party in the world today with 11 crore members. I am sure that under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and our party president Amit Shah ji, we will not only be able to retain what we've got, probably more. The fact is that if you want to give stable, good governance with strong leadership and stability, then the only option is the BJP. If you want a khichdi sarkar where everybody is only strange bedfellows for the lust of power, you have the options of all the others who are trying to consolidate their position, who are trying to position themselves. And let me please say, you've had people like Chandrababu Naidu who have also tried to put their hat in the ring and have failed miserably. So I am not here to sit like a political commentator to speak on what the future of the BSP or the SP is, or what they choose to do with the Congress or not. I can only speak for our party and tell you that a lot has been said, but whether it's Jan Dhan Yojana, Mudra banking, pension schemes, insurance schemes, Ujjwala, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, or Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, our policies have percolated down to the poorest of poor. And even when it comes to the agrarian crisis, our endeavor has always been to ensure that we keep people economically empowered and not only
all of that you'll get a chance to say on the campaign trail.
That is the reason why they have not been able to perform in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh.
Ensuring that our youth is put into the forum.
Yeah, China, so before anybody...
Sir, please, from a Bimaru state to be at 14% when it comes to agriculture. Vikram, I have to excuse myself, so if there's any other question...
No, China, I know you have to leave. Thank you so much with that comment. Now, Pawan, let me turn to you. You heard what Mr. Bhadoria said and what Chandan said. And now there's an interesting two possibilities that are going to emerge after whatever's happened in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. Some people are feeling that the Congress has been able to play, in a sense, reduce the arrogance that it has sometimes displayed in the past, reached out to other parties and done what Chandan was hinting at and what Mr. Bhadoria was hinting at, to say, look, we should realize that the Congress party is strong in certain areas, and therefore, you know, that's where the Congress is going to focus on and reach out to alliance partners elsewhere. Mr. Bhadoria was sort of saying you need to be magnanimous in areas where you're stronger and the others are weaker, give them space out there, and then expect reciprocity in Uttar Pradesh. Do you agree with the vision laid out by Chandan Mitra? Is that the way to go?
Absolutely, and you saw the magnanimity in Karnataka post results. We didn't want our Chief Minister, we didn't insist on it. We were absolutely large-hearted. So, I completely agree with Mr. Bhadoria. There are states where we are strong, there are states where we are not strong and they are stronger. And there is always a meeting ground if the issues on which we are fighting this election and the ideology are common. So, there is a common ground. We are not, I won't even talk about their alliance. Abhi wo bol rahe the khichdi and all that. Upendra Kushwaha is leaving, Shiv Sena is threatening always, so, and TDP is already left.
Upendra Kushwaha is leaving, but his party may not be leaving along with him.
Let's see. There's a lot of time between now and 2019 elections, so maybe Nitish also leaves for, you know, it's Indian politics, a lot of things happen. So, let her not, and unfortunately, Shaina makes all these comments and runs away, and poor Vineet will have to now listen to everything.
Now you know why we have Vineet also, right?
So, instead of calling them a khichdi, instead of calling them a khichdi sarkar, please have some respect for regional partners, regional players. They represent the same voter. Don't undermine regional players. That's the arrogance of the BJP, which I'm sorry will be punished by the voters.
Okay. Actually, interesting point, and I want to throw that to you. Is there anything fundamentally wrong with the situation where you're saying, okay, yes, the BJP is one strong force out here with some partners. On the other side, there's a disparate number of regional players. And I know the Congress party will get really infuriated if I call them a regional player. But in a sense, the Congress party is strong in a particular part of the country. So, actually, probably true for the BJP as well, right? It's
Bhadoria Sahab is online, right? He is listening to me. So, you know, I was just going through all the budget reports. I have never seen 56,619 crore rupees been earmarked for scheduled caste and 39,000 rupees separately for ST. That puts together the amount to almost around a lakh crore rupees, which has never been seen. So, I could see the concern of the current dispensation for the marginalized people. When the 5 crore gases were distributed, they were not asked, आपका surname क्या है? So they are the people probably from marginal community, and which is the area which BSP was dominating. Now here one question for Honorable Bhadoria ji is, does BSP knows that Congress was the party which defeated Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar in the election? They actually marginalized him. They were the people who. And let me remind.
Your point? And today, your point is that BSP should work with the BJP.
No, they should cater their own vote to this thing. So when they come together for supporting them, then I feel like, are they betraying Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, who was defeated by Congress? A. B. When SP has. Yeah, okay, sir, give me 10 seconds. And when SP supports Congress, I remind you, SP has a very nice presence in minority community, in Muslims. Then I like to remind Akhilesh about Turkman Gate, which happened in 1975 when unmarried Muslim youths were castized. So, you know, these parties, they have forgotten the history of what? How can they support Congress, which is to be blamed for defeat of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar?
गूगल करने में
सर आपने भीमराव अंबेडकर को हराया कि नहीं हराया सर मेरे को एफिशिएंसी है सर मैं यंग हूं सर
should not tie up with the
झूठ बोल रहा तो बताइए कि भीमराव अंबेडकर को कांग्रेस ने हराया कि नहीं हराया तुर्कमान गेट कांग्रेस ने क्या क्या नहीं किया सर
अरे भीमराव अंबेडकर को हिंदू धर्म से बाहर करवा दिया आप लोगों ने उसका जवाब दीजिए
एक और बताता हूं सर आपको बताता हूं
हिंदू धर्म से बाहर
राहुल गांधी became vice president before Rahul Gandhi became vice president of
आप याद कर रहे हैं
मैं बताता हूं मैं फैक्ट बता before Rahul Gandhi became vice president कांग्रेस had
भीमराव अंबेडकर जी को आपने कैसी गालियां दी थी उसका जवाब दीजिए
8 सेट को तो हरा दिया
Mr. Bhadoria respond to what he's saying.
Baba Sahab, please let me.
Yeah, you asked him a question and
Mr. Bhadoria answered. को इन्होंने हराया था इनको सपोर्ट क्यों कर रहे हैं सर?
Mr. Bhadoria.
छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है सर.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
कर दीजिए जो गूगल किया है वो.
Mr. Bhadoria answer.
Yes. You see, Baba Sahab Bhimrao Ambedkar certainly lost 2 elections because the Congress saw to it that he loses. But let me also say this, that the Hindu Mahasabha and the then Bharatiya Janasangh, of which the Bharatiya Janata Party is a part today of that ideological party, also fund the effigy of Baba Sahab Bhimrao Ambedkar in Ramlila ground. 50,000 people gathered on the Hindu court bill, burnt the effigy of Baba Sahab Bhimrao Ambedkar. So we know your genuineness and we know the genuineness of the BJP on Baba Sahab and the other political parties.
Please, Vineet,
पूरा Google
Pavan,
किया करो,
Vineet,
आधा कर
Pavan,
दो।
एक और बताता हूं,
Vineet,
एक और
Pavan,
point बताता हूं।
after the show, we have 5 more minutes to go.
एक और
After the
सर,
show,
सर,
I'm happy
राहुल
to
गांधी जी ने
referee
14 से 8 पे लाया
match
कांग्रेस को।
outside.
14
Nalini,
स्टेट के
I'm
8
not
स्टेट
telling
आ
you.
गए।
Are you somewhat bemused,
जहां
Nalini,
जहां पेड़
as
पड़े
how much
सदन के वहां
political
घंटा
venting?
I must-
None of, please, guys, outside. Now, after this, 5 minutes from now, I promise I'll get boxing gloves.
नहीं, he is senior to me. I respect him a lot.
Nalini,
Absolutely.
Nalini, are you somewhat bemused? Are you somewhat bemused with the fact that so much of what we keep discussing is about history? Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, Nehru, was Nehru to blame for whatever happened? After everyone else is like, look, most of the voters weren't born 20 years ago.
You started the
25
program
years
with
ago.
you started the program with something that's happened today. The government, the Minister of Defence wants to file a correction in the Supreme Court or whatever it's called. So I would say to go back 40 years, 37 years, and then to go, to go on and on. In fact, that was Turkman Gate, but Baba Sahib Ambedkar ji would be much longer. I would say that this is, is this what elections have brought us to? But one thing that I must pick up, when Shaina was speaking about the ANI interview with Smita Prakash, just one small thing, that President Hollande's interview with Mediapart is also something that we journalists should not forget. But in this whole thing that you're talking about, what's happening to BJP or Congress, actually the most interesting story is that the BJP is comparing itself to the Congress. It must not. It has been way ahead of the Congress. It should compare it to itself. And here, if you take 2013 to 2018, about 50 lakh BJP people who voted for BJP have migrated to other parties, possibly Congress, possibly others. If you compare it to 2014, approximately 75 lakh to 1 crore have gone. Okay. They should actually be saying who were they, why did they go? And the second thing that I'd like to say is that you've got the most important thing in this election, now post-election for me, is that BSP plus SP have joined the Madhya Pradesh Congress in order to complete their, and maybe they've done it in Rajasthan also. This affects UP. And I don't think they're now, they will just offer two.
We'll have to see what actually happens.
Okay,
quick last word from you, Chandan. You haven't spoken in a while. End of the day, Chandan, wrap up this week for us, with your various hats on. Do you think, on balance, Rafale judgment, Mallya, Michel, assembly elections, everything that's happened, good week for the BJP, bad week for the BJP, terrible week for the BJP, great week? What do you think?
I believe that the Kal Chakra, or the wheel of time, never stands still. And this week, the election results have shown it is not going to stand still at all. The Kal Chakra has moved away from the BJP towards the opposition, not Congress in particular. The regional forces are the real gainers, and in the coming days, in 2019, I believe the regional parties will gain, and it may be a government with the Congress, it may be without the Congress. But
with the Congress or without the Congress,
away from the BJP this week, and Rafale, no Rafale, whatever happens, basically, I think there is a disenchantment with BJP and this government.
Out of time.
I partially agree with Chandan da. Kal Chakra has moved to them. Kal का मतलब मृत्यु होती है.
What language is this? What language is this?
काल चक्र उन्होंने कहा,
मैं तो आपको बता रहा सर. Is this your संस्कार? ऐसी बातें करते हैं आप?
Okay, Pavan, are you concerned about what he said? Maybe with
I'm
the Congress,
concerned about what they think.
The wheel of time.
More than Dr. Mitra, I am concerned about their mentality.
Okay, we will keep on debating.
हमने तुर्कमान गेट नहीं किया सर.
नहीं, शर्म आनी चाहिए आपको ये बोलते. शर्म आनी चाहिए.
Now we are over on time, so we will.
Kal Chakra.
Now the camera is about to come down. We'll continue this after this. Thank you all for watching. This was the big fight, and it ended up being a big fight for once in many areas. We're going to slip into a break. Lots more still coming up on the other side, but the big fight is done. We'll be back next week. Do join us then.